Okay. What day was this? Do you remember if it was like a weekend or?
I think it was like Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
And in the summertime?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're off school.
Yeah.
You didn't even try to get out of school to do something like this.
No, I know.
What a guy.
Yeah.
All right, so, okay, so you start at noon, and you start skating backwards. What was going through your mind?
I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Honestly, like, that's, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
I did like 2 laps.
Okay.
And I was like, I still have 198 laps to go, right? Like,
God.
And I was like, oh my God.
How
I didn't really think this through, right? Like,
let's
get across Canada.
It's a weird thing to do, right?
Yeah,
but I think that's why it's so cool, though.
Yeah.
So you're on your second lap, and you're thinking, shit, I still have 198 fucking laps to do.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Obviously, you went through with it, but
honestly, man, it was the support of like family and friends that came out, and the biggest motivation for me was Marilyn Elford. So the gentleman that I did all this for, his wife came out,
right,
and then people with Parkinson's started to come out. So I was like, oh man, like I'm making a pretty big impact.
Yeah.
Right? So that kind of kept me going. The toughest part was getting into like the nighttime.
Yeah.
It's colder.
And Delaware Speedway's outside, right?
Yeah. So they'd have the lights on and stuff like that.
Sure.
But
was there a time where you completely alone ever?
No.
People just leave on.
You're
left skating around the rink.
Yeah.
No, my brother was there, and the funny thing is that Delaware Speedway gave him a golf cart, so he would like follow me in a golf cart, laughing at me like, yeah, you're crazy. Meanwhile, I'm skiing backwards, right?
No kidding.
That was cool. Yeah.
So 24 hours. What did it feel like when you finished? I mean, was there a point where you just like, numbed yourself out and your brain just kind of stopped?
I remember vividly. It was lap like 175.
Okay.
And it
only
was,
175.
Yeah, I know.
I got the pace.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, go for it, man. You're gonna ask me how long it takes to go around the track.
Well, no, I was just thinking like after you got done, was it like a shock trying to walk forward?
It was weird.
Oh yeah.
I bet that would have been like something.
Yeah.
else.
What was the feeling?
I constantly felt like I was going back.
Yeah.
I constantly felt like I was going backwards. Right?
When you were walking forward after that time?
Yeah, when I was done, like I lied down for like a solid 20-25 minutes.
Right.
And you're exhausted, right? Because I didn't sleep or anything. Like I found, and I barely stopped because I found that if you stopped, you wouldn't want to get back up and going.
Of course. Did you eat in between?
Yeah, I eat snacks and stuff, but like that.
Really?
But that, like.
So were you skiing backwards like you
just
had a
pounded
fucking
back.
bag of potato chips?
No.
How does that work?
I take like short breaks, but like
Right.
Nutrient bars and little sandwich here or there. But the longer I stopped, the less I was like wanting to keep going.
Sure, you just wanted to keep the momentum.
Yeah.
So what happened on 175? We kind of started there.
So 175 was like it's only a little bit left.
Yeah.
But it seems like that
Forever.
it's the most left, right? And during the night, man, like it's mind over matter. Like you lose the physical stuff. Like it's not about muscle and training at that point.
No.
Your brain's just telling you to like, dude, enough's enough.
Sure.
We're over, right? But no, I powered through, man. But after I honestly collapsed, man. I was just exhausted.
How long did it take you to recover from that? Because you're sleep deprived, you're you're fatigued, you obviously didn't eat properly, you probably were dehydrated.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to recover from this?
I remember that day when I finished.
The day.
The day. It was the day.
Yeah.
On the ride home, I passed out. I don't even remember leaving the track.
Really?
I just remember waking up at home in my bed. Like I was just exhausted.
And I love that it was 200 kilometers.
202 kilometers.
202.
Yeah.
So you know that if they gave you 202 kilometers, there's some poor fucker out there who's got 201 kilometers.
Yeah.
Who's just like, you.
Yeah.
Does that record still stand?
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't looked into it.
You haven't looked into it? What if someone beat that record? Would you
That'd be the
consider?
coolest thing ever, man. I'd love to meet that guy.
Would you?
Yeah, for sure.
Or would you consider if he would? What if he only did 203 kilometers? Would you try to go for that 204?
I don't know if I'd ever do that again.
Yeah. I don't know why you did it in the first place.
Yeah, just going for 1 extra kilometer and not like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
I don't know. I might give it a shot.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, but like after you've done something like that, you probably feel like you can accomplish almost anything. Do you not? I mean,
for sure.
Was high school a breeze then, or like I don't even know. Like, I can't. Man, I have a tough time staying up for like the full, 18 hours a day, 16 hours. So to stay up for 24 while you're rollerblading backwards. Oh my god.
Yeah, no. You definitely, after that, man, like you feel like you're on top of the world. Like you can literally do anything, right?
Right.
And obviously, looking back at like the 12-day Ontario thing, I was like, that was easy. I could have done Canada for sure. But
so do you think that's in the cards ever? Do you think that you might pull that one out of your trousers one day?
I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of pulling something out of your trousers, you got a baby on the way.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So let's go back in time here. You're 16 years old when you complete this?
When I completed the record?
Yeah.
No, I was like 17.
17 when you broke the record?
17, yeah.
So Matt Granger at one point we should look into that. We should really, I wish we had a computer here. But, so you held the record, we do have a fucking computer, but I'm too lazy to turn around. So you broke the record, and we don't know if that still stands. And then
I set the record, man. I didn't break it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
set the record.
I just want to make sure.
Okay, make sure that's on the table. Yeah. This humble guy speaks up. So let's fast forward to the time when I met you, because obviously you were working at Lexus at that time, and I was buying a car from you.
Yeah.
And I noticed that article, and that was something I was like, wow, this guy's really got a big heart. So when you finished that, did you continually, like, has Parkinson's been a part of your life, sort of volunteering or dedicating some time to that society? Is that stuck with you?
Yeah, for sure. Like every event they organize, I try to get involved to the best I can. But I got Lexus involved with some sponsorship stuff at work, and they kind of let me lead on anything that Parkinson's was doing. So I try to keep in touch and lend a hand when I can. Right.
Very cool. And when you and I met, you and Robin, your now wife. How long have you been dating by the time when we first met? Because I know I was in a model home working for a builder selling real estate, and you guys were looking for a house.
Yeah, that would have been like 10 years.
10 years you were together?
Together, yeah.
So when did you guys start dating?
Like when we were 14, like high school.
Holy shit. Yeah. So she was with you through...
Like everything.
Really?
Yeah.
So she was with you through the Ontario and the breaking of the record?
Yeah. Both, man.
Did you get
kind of cool.
Did she get turned on by all this?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, sure. You're like a fucking hero, man. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, okay. And then when we met, you were looking for a house, and now you're married. So what kind of happened in that time period? And then you were working as a salesperson for car salesman for Lexus, and now you are in Police Foundations at Fanshawe. So what was the shifting point there?
You know what? It wasn't. You know how you go, like, I always look back, and everything I ever wanted to do had something to do with policing.
Okay.
And I mean, like, when, always like trying to give back and trying to make a difference.
Right.
And that was kind of always in my heart, and kind of always what I wanted to do. But you kind of grow up and you need some money, and you want to party and have fun and buy things, right?
Yeah.
And so I got into car sales at 18.
Yeah.
And 18, 19, and I just I liked it, and I didn't know anything about it. I think it was an ad on in London Free Press, and I just applied.
Yeah.
And literally had nothing. Like, I knew nothing about cars, other than that they drove, and they kind of there's nice ones and bad ones.
Did you start with Lexus?
No, I started with Kia.
Okay.
And I was with them for like 3 years, and literally it was just a job. I just needed a job, and I just applied, and did well. And I think I liked the customer service aspect of it, like talking to people and meeting people.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't doing it for me. So, I moved in. I was doing well, but I wanted more volume, and I looked over to Toyota. Toyota, Honda, they're pretty well known brands.
Sure.
So, and moved over there. Spent 2 years with Toyota sales. And then I was the Scion brand manager. So Toyota, the family is Lexus Toyota.
Yeah.
They released the Scion brand to a younger generation.
Yeah.
So I took on that, and then was brought over to the Lexus side and spent 2 years there. So
right on.
Yeah.
How many cars has my family bought off you?
I sold your dad a car.
Yeah.
And then there was a frustration. There was another car that he bought out of frustration.
Out of frustration, he bought a car?
Yeah, I remember he had the Scion.
Oh, yeah.
And the Corolla.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then...
there was an incident, I believe.
There was a little incident.
Yeah, was that the one with my sister?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So, anyway, that was because she didn't feel comfortable driving standards. So another car had to be purchased. That's a long story in itself. But anyway. Okay, so after the whole Lexus transition, you're now working where?
So I work security downtown.
Whereabouts?
Market Tower.
Okay, so how's that?
Like Wellington or Richmond and Dundas.
Yeah, so you're familiar with the Market Tower?
Yeah, absolutely. It was down there, near Dundas, right?
Yeah. It's
Dundas and Richmond.
Dundas and Richmond,
yeah. That's a rough area.
Yeah, so what happens on that corner? Like, what do you have to deal with?
Lots of things, man. Like it's kind of interesting because you never know what you're walking into, right?
Right.
But it's such a diverse crowd down there.
But I love hearing your stories about sort of the characters that you deal with. So can you tell us about some of the situations you've been through?
Oh man, like there's been so many times, and it kind of goes from drug related issues to like mental health.
Right.
A lot of the times it is mental health.
Sure.
Related, right.
Which ties in with the podcast we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
So how do you decipher between someone that's fucked up on crystal meth versus someone that's just dealing with a mental illness?
Well, I've been down. So we see the regulars. We call them the regulars. They hang around there.
Sure.
We know all them.
Right.
And after a year spent down there, I can pick up like the differences between those specific people, whether they're on something or they're just having a bad day.
Which, let's face it, even if they are drug users, there's probably a good chance that there's a mental illness underlying that. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody kind of uses drugs as an escape to some extent from whatever that is, and sometimes they take over. But that escape could be something like anxiety, depression that you're feeling, and so on and so forth. So when you're at that corner, what are some? I mean, you show me pictures of like I don't think people in London realize some of the drugs that are going around here. Or maybe they do, but like that corner specifically has a lot of drug trafficking, does it not?
It does, yeah.
So,
and it's not even like hidden, like it's out there.
Yeah.
You can only like if you spend 5 minutes down there, you could watch 3 or 4 drug deals happen.
What do you think is the drug of choice that's being traded on that corner?
Crystal meth.
Crystal meth is
It's a huge problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're in police foundations now as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you talk? I'm sure you guys talk about the drug epidemic that's kind of been happening, and you and I have talked about how in police foundations now they're focusing a lot on mental health as well, because officers, I mean, I know that sometimes when you're dealing with, from the volunteer work that I've done, it's really tough to listen to someone that's maybe schizophrenic or bipolar. If you don't know that they're coping with something, you just think this guy's fucked up, and you kind of you can act aggressively toward that individual. So are they training you now to better approach people? Is that kind of part of the schooling?
I think the biggest problem is that we don't treat those people as people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like we treat them as the lowest of the low.
Right.
But what I find interesting about that job and that location and the people that I deal with is they're people, man. Like they all have a story, right?
That's someone's kid.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I find it interesting in talking to these people down there, whether they're on something or not.
So what are some of the stories that you've heard that have touched you?
I've heard stories from I was successful at one point, mom and dad split, and then I kind of just lost myself.
So divorce could have been a factor in some of them?
Yeah. And then they just got caught into the wrong crowd because there was no father figure or mom around, right? Mm-hmm. And then they just kind of lose it all and get caught in with the wrong drug like crystal meth.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to come out of that. Like we look at it as those people, they're just a waste, and it's easy to get a job and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's not. Like sometimes those people legit can't get a job, right? Because of the state they're in.
Sure.
And we're blind to that, I feel like, as society, right?
I think that people are becoming more aware. I think that this is what we're trying to do here, and I think a lot of the time, people that end up on that corner probably at one point in time felt like they didn't fit in anywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose of this, is if you guys are watching and you feel like you don't fit in, you fit in here. I mean, we're here to hear your story. You can do sort of what Vinni Chase does. You can kind of have an anonymous sort of personality, I guess, really.
Hooded, creepy, hooded.
Yeah, you can be the hood, but as long as you have a story to share, we're here to listen, and I think that's important because we don't want people to end up on that corner looking for that wrong crowd that might accept them at that time.
For sure.
So